Welcome to another thought-provoking episode of the Supply Chain Lab, where we explore the intersections of innovation, education, and entrepreneurship. Today, we're diving into a topic that's become increasingly important in shaping the future of industries across the globe: student entrepreneurship. Universities are more than just a place of learning. They are hubs of innovation, providing students with support, mentorship, and resources to launch businesses while studying. But what does it really take for a student to turn academic knowledge into a thriving entrepreneurial venture? How do universities foster this growth? And more importantly, how can aspiring entrepreneurs leverage the tools around them to drive real change in industries like supply chain management? To help us unpack this dynamic, inspiring topic, we're joined by two distinguished guests, Dr. Spongile Thaba and Bapile Duba, who bring unique perspectives on the role of universities in supporting student entrepreneurship. Before we jump into this discussion, let's meet our guests. Bapile, what inspired you to become an entrepreneur?
Thanks a lot for having us, for having me. Thanks a lot for the invite, and hi to everyone who's watching. I think more than anything, it has always been there. I think if I can trace back, I remember I grew up in a boarding school. I would sell things. I would sell sweets, I would sell chips. And then there came a time whereby I paused everything. I think, when you're growing up and then now it's you're stepping into high school, you start growing a beard and you start being attracted to noticing females and all of that. So I think more than anything, that's when I paused. And then when I got to Joburg after matric, that's when the environment just spoke to me, saying that there's more to life. There's more that you can do than just maybe studies or just going the formal route. More than anything, I saw different lifestyles, different characters as well. That just spoke to me, and then I think that's when that entrepreneurial spirit got reignited again. And then ever since then, there's been a few businesses that I've experimented with, a few organizations as well. Some are on a pause, some never worked out. But right now, there's one thing that I'm focusing on, which is just-in-time logistics. And then others, I'll go back to them, because some of the organizations I've started, they are more like a passion project, of which passion project, they need a bit of finances. So I think when it comes to just-in-time logistics, it's the one that I can see finances coming in. And then later on in life, then this baby will bring more assistance to the other baby, and then we'll be able to then grow all the businesses together. So more than anything, I think the journey has started long ago. And then we just keep on growing.
Okay, that's quite exciting. Dr. Thaba, you're quite passionate about entrepreneurship. Could you share a bit about your background and what developed your passion?
Thank you very much for inviting me, Chikluke, and to all the viewers. I'm thankful for the opportunity and I feel honored. I grew up in a family where there was always something happening business-wise. So my parents were not people who will wake up and go to work, but then they were doing different types of business. Thinking of manufacturing, retail, and farming. And then out of that, I wanted the farm. I thought maybe there's something they aren't doing right. I felt like maybe I need to test the other world where I could wake up every day, go to work, maybe be a nurse, wear those heels. But then arriving at university while I'm taking that route, I realized the unemployment and the underemployment which our students are faced with. And I went back and asked myself, what could be the answer? And then it took me back that I am where I am because my parents will wake up and do it for themselves, not wait for somebody else to come and employ them. I think that was brought back their passion for entrepreneurship.
And Bapile, can you relate to some of that? Is that what inspired you to become an entrepreneur while you were studying? Is it because you saw that there are opportunities and you didn't just want to focus on just being a full-time student?
Yes, definitely. I think there's a lot of opportunities that I saw. There's a lot of business ideas that I've been thinking of and strategies as to if I can start this is how I can run with it. And at that time, I think being a student, you see that you've got a bit of time. There's academics, of course, activities and tasks, but what is it that I can do with my time on the side? What is it that I can do while maybe we're on a break, we're on recess. At the end of the day, I think because I've got a lot of interests, it becomes a bit difficult for me to focus on one thing. So I was like, with the time that I've got and with the phase that I'm in, how can I try to maximize my potential? Of course, I think when I started going heavily into business, it did affect my studies, but I think everything comes at a cost. Not to say I failed or wrote sub or repeated modules, but I knew that maybe from 90s, 80s, I would then go down to 60s and 70s, and that was the sacrifice I was open to taking and making, and that's what I did. And more than anything, I think I couldn't wait. More than anything, I was like, and most people I would meet and people that I would look up to, they would say that if I knew what I know now in your age, then I would be very far. And I'm thinking to myself that I'm in that phase and that age that they're talking about. Then let me maximize my potential and see how far I can get, and see what the journey has got in store for me. So yes, I do relate with that. I do relate with the journey, and there's a lot of opportunities. And of course, one should always try to strike a balance, because too much business might affect academics, and then you end up not performing well. But also focusing too much on academics might close some of the opportunities that are there, because you would not be able to explore them properly.
And how did you find this balance? How did you manage to balance the two? What is your strategy?
I think more than anything, it was cutting more on social life, cutting more on. I had my priorities straight. I knew that, for example, when I was doing my undergrad, there was academics that I had to focus on. There was a baby that I was trying to raise called Mind Nutrition. If I was not busy with academics, I would be focused on Mind Nutrition. And before you know it, my day is done. So a bit of social life was compromised, but it's not even a journey that I regret. I think more than anything, I'm proud that at that time, at that phase, I was able to think ahead and allow myself to think ahead in an environment that didn't fully accommodate that. So yeah.
Okay. And Dr. Taba, from your experience, because you mentor quite a few student entrepreneurs, what qualities do you see in students who tend to be quite successful in opening their own ventures?
Personally, I don't think students inherit a certain qualities for them to run businesses. I believe it's a teaching approach. So if I get to class and I start talking entrepreneurship and I make it attractive and I show them the opportunities that comes with being your own boss rather than working 8 to 4, out of that you grow the passion in them. So it's a matter of, we were taught, all of us, that we need to go to school so that we can work 8 to 4. We knew when we go to school, we have to work. But if there is that philosophy that somebody has to work after school, then it means that the same person can also be an entrepreneur if was a given opportunity to say, you can actually go to school and then be an entrepreneur. So to me, it was how I approach them in class, how I make them feel valuable and wanting to, showing them the opportunities of, if you are your own boss, this is at the cost that are coming in. Not that I'm not sharing the risk. I do share the risk a lot, but I also show them if they invest more time on it, what kind of result will come out. And the good part is, if you don't make it, at least you sharpen your mind to be a very good entrepreneur within the workplace where you will get a job.
That's a really good point, Dr. Taba. Can you just take us through how you use academic, or how you show students how to use whatever they're learning in school, and how to use those skills or that knowledge that they're getting from school to open up real businesses? Do you have some real examples of where this has happened?
Yes, I do. So I'll take it to the first day in class, what I do in class. When I arrive in class, the first day, students are used to, you are a lecturer, you are lecturing and will be listening. And then the minute I arrive, I'll ask any simple question And you find that now they are shriveling because it's kind of like it's not. Why are you asking us questions? You haven't even started with your slides. And I start by instilling that confidence in them. And this is how I do it. I'm like, you are a student from University of Johannesburg. You know what is University of Johannesburg? If they're in Fedi, I'm like, you are in Fedi. You are an ambassador of tomorrow. So say something about UJ. What can you say? And then when we give that to them, the more you give that to them, you now give them that confidence. Then when they have the confidence, they know I'm a University of Johannesburg student, I can do this. You're like, can you really do this? So now you want to go out and work for someone, or you want to work for yourself. And then now you're giving them reasons. So it's more of building up on them. The first week I do that. Second week, I turn them into groups. 4 groups, let's say of 100 students in class. And then in those 4 groups, already they are business consultants. When you look at your partner, you say you see your business partner, a director of a certain company. In those groups, there's already a name of a company. When you approach me, you say director of what, or you have to say, when you come into my office, you're going to say, hello ma'am, this is my name, and then I'm a director of this and this company, or else you're not going to talk to me. And then based on that, we build up on it. And then how do we now integrate it to the program? I will then say, this group, you are going to present me on inventory management. It is your task. You come to class, you're going to present on inventory management. And when you are discussing inventory management or presenting inventory management, you need to relate it to your business. What does it mean to your consulting firm? What can value your business bring using inventory management into your firm? And then the rest of the 3 groups are going to be audience, but they had to critique. So in that class, the group that is presenting is going to be given marks for presenting and doing it very well. I will be monitoring that. The rest of the groups, they will get marks for participating, meaning they have to ask questions, comment, and critique, meaning both groups has to be very prepared. And whenever they're critiquing, it's not about only critiquing on the theory, but you're also critiquing towards their businesses. So all the 4 groups will be knowing the name of their businesses, the business of the other groups and what they do, and then they're able to engage with the thing. So that's where it starts.
Okay, that's an excellent example. But Pile, I don't know what your experience has been in class, but how did the idea of just-in-time logistics come about? What problem did you find, and what does your business solve? What problem does your business solve?
So I think it's a tricky one. I never thought I would end up opening a logistics or transport-related business, because most of the ideas that I had when I was still doing school, it was ideas that were not related with what I'm doing. I had other interests to such an extent that when I was completing undergrad, I was like, nah, I don't see myself in logistics. I never. But I think through the journey, and I think that's the beauty of starting wherever you are in business and making mistakes and failing. Through that, I then remembered that, I did transport. What are some of the gaps that I can identify there that I can take advantage of? How can I make money out of what I've studied, apart from employment? Because I think more than anything, I was very clear with that one, that should I step into corporate, that's my understanding, should I step into corporate, high chances I might be addicted to it, and then my businesses and some of the goals that I've got might be compromised. So I was like, how can I start right now with the little that I've got? How can I step into the market? Of course, the goal is big, but I identified that a lot of people, month end, they are moving. Whether in or out of a particular building, they are moving. They need to be transported. Their belongings and their goods have to be transported. So I was like, okay, good shot. Here's the first service offering. We are going to do home and office removals. So if maybe a particular entity is moving or relocating, we would be there and assist them in terms of that. But I was also like, to broaden the service offering, let us also look at what else can we do to maximize the revenue streams? We looked at the passenger moving, that, okay, let's transport goods, yes, but also let's cater for passengers. That's how we stepped into the market of shuttle services. And then also, I think we did breakdown and towing services as well. We tried that, we experimented with that. I think with the past 2 years of us operating, we've only had one client. I think it's quite clear that it's not a service offering that is lucrative. So we dealt away with that, and then we replaced it with storage facilities. And because one of the things that we noticed along the journey is that people who would need temporal storage, you find that most of the storage companies, they only cater for a month going onwards. They don't have storage facilities for 2-3 hours. I just need a space now to store my stuff. They don't have that. Sometimes they would want to store it for a day, for a week, for just 2 weeks, and then that's it. So we identified a gap there, that if we can move these guys' items and then store them at the same time, then our revenue stream is maximized. Then we are eating in two ways. So that's how the journey has been. And I think the beauty of business is that you can start with this, and then during the journey you start learning a lot of things that, hey, actually this doesn't work. Theoretically it made sense, but realistically this doesn't make sense. And I think that's where we are right now. Of course, the goal is to be within the whole country, to have a branch in the main big cities that would connect with the rest of the smaller areas, so that we can have a footprint in all locations and cater for a national moving kind of a service. For now, we are still operating in Gauteng. However, if you are moving to Limpopo, for example, we can move you from Gauteng to Limpopo, but not from Limpopo to Cape Town, type of a thing. So that we are not able to do as yet.
Okay. And what are some of the challenges that you've had to overcome as an entrepreneur?
When it comes to that one, it's an interesting one, because when I started with where I was and with what I had. So initially, no vehicle, basically. No experience as well within the transport and logistics space. It has always been theoretical in class. That was the first challenge, stepping into and running a particular business of a particular industry that you've never practiced, but only consumed via textbooks and teaching it. So that was the first challenge, stepping into it and not knowing where to start. But I started by advertising that whoever needs services, we're there to assist. And then when I get a client, I would then outsource those services. And at that time, it seemed like a good strategy. But during the journey, I noticed that most of the guys that we would outsource were not reliable. Most of the guys that we would outsource didn't share the same values as what we had as a business. Our values are mainly professionalism, good customer service, paying attention to detail. More than anything, if we are moving you or your items, let us connect with you. Let us build a relation with you. Let there be a rapport between us and the client. Yes, we are moving sharp. We'll do that. But let us be there and fully invested. And the guys that we would outsource didn't care about that. Didn't care about arriving on time. Didn't care about customer service. Some would even drop us on the last minute. You find that we agreed. We called these guys. They said that 1 o'clock, yes, they are aware we've got a client, right? 1 o'clock, or let's say 10 to 1, checking in with the guys. Hey, how far? Hey, you know what? Something came up and all of that. And now I have to drop everything and try to look for an alternative supplier to cater for this. That has been a nightmare, because the client is waiting, and most of our clients do pay deposit before we start the moving. And, you know, when a client has paid for something, their reasoning differs than a client who has not yet paid. Those are some of the challenges that we faced, and more than anything, people within the transport business would tell you pricing is a biggest challenge. It's not as easy as one might think, because you price according to your expenses. It makes sense to you and the profit that you are looking at getting. But now your competitors, these guys don't care. they are willing to take anything. And now your customers are much more attracted to these guys that don't even care about customer service and making sure that there's good quality within the journey. So more than anything, one of the greatest challenges, it has been pricing, and it has been competition as well, and people not understanding why we charge what we charge. But of course, on our quotation, we do show each and every element and how we got to the price. And I think more than anything, I've learned in the journey that not all clients or potential clients are your clients. You find those who will complain. You find those who say, hey, actually, you guys are very affordable based on the quotes that I've gotten. So I think it has been a journey of just being content. I can make 10 quotes and then only one comes back. And I shouldn't feel bad about that. I should just appreciate and be glad that at least 10 people reached out. At least 10 people saw us and know about us, whether they sign up or not. It's a story of another day. So there's quite a lot of challenges and lessons that I've learned along the way. And I've also learned the importance of having a mentor, because the journey becomes much more smoother and easier when there's a mentor, someone to hold your hand and pull you and show you some of the loopholes in the market, some of the mistakes that a lot of people fall into. So I think more than anything, starting without a mentor, it did play a huge role in terms of the challenges that were experienced. And then eventually, yes, I did find someone who was willing to mentor me when I was halfway through the journey.
Okay. Dr. Taba, so like institutions like Harvard and Stellenbosch are renowned for having entrepreneurial ecosystems. Apile just spoke about some of his challenges. I don't think we have these kind of ecosystems in our institution, or do we have them? And what role do you think universities could play in assisting students that are trying to become entrepreneurs?
To first answer the question on Harvard and Stellenbosch, yes, they're doing very well, and it is actually because their policies are clear. So them being traditional university, but telling themselves that they're getting into entrepreneurial, to being an entrepreneurial university, they made the very, very clear policies. So their ecosystem are now even integrated. The biggest challenge with traditional universities that don't have such policies, the ecosystem is there, like the people who can assist are there from different faculties, but we are not integrated. We're still working bit in silos. But then the question is, how did I manage? Because I end up having to knock in every faculty where I can get assistance. Specifically, my students now, I wanted them to do digitalization. I wanted them to tap into FOF-IR. And what was available then, it was UJ blockchain. And then I had to find way, because there's part where in your curriculum you can add 30% every year. So I added the blockchain. I blended it with what we have as our outcomes. And then I spoke to them, can you come and give lessons to my students relating to blockchain? And then they agreed. Then I again went to the business management, because I found out there's a business clinic. And then in business management, I said to them, can you take my students through entrepreneurial elements? We are teaching them purchasing, but we don't really know much about entrepreneurship. And the lecturers were very willing through their center, and then they came in and they were rendering their classes, and already they have entrepreneurs in the department. And then I will bring those students who are entrepreneurs to come and present to my students to say it's possible. And then I also went to Technopreneurship Center at UJ in the School of Consumer Intelligence. My point is, you see, they are there, but then maybe we still do not have that collaboration angle of understanding that there's a way that we can work with a certain group of students, all of us, and maybe report differently with all these students on the part that we do. And then it's because the policy is not clear. And then the other biggest challenge is now being a traditional university, the stakes are not clear. Even now, if I stand in front of my students and say, you are starting a business, yes, your business, unlike Bapile's business, their business are developed in the classrooms or in the lecture halls, is the intellectual property of UJ. Remember, these ones come in class, not saying that I have a certain business idea. I'm going to give them a scenario, and out of a scenario, I'll say that investigate the problem. Like this year, our theme was textile. And I was saying you look at textile within African context, you check where there are challenges, you come with a solution using blockchain. And that's why you have to learn blockchain. And at the end of the day, you're going to submit your assignment with a prototype that is working of blockchain relating to your module, relating to the problems or the textile industry. So in that way, the students they relate, and then it means now they are coming out with business idea based on what the lecturer gave them, like you have guided them. That's what makes it an intellectual property of UJ. But then the challenge is the stake now, to say what is the stake of the students. Because now when I present to them, as they go about, they ask me these questions. Then we understand it's a UJ business, because now I make it clear from scratch so that we wouldn't have problems. But then when they say how much is our stake, that policy isn't clear as yet to say how much is their stake. If we go back to the model of Stellenbosch and Harvard, already the students know their stake in the business. So if you are an undergrad, there's a stake. If you are a postgrad, there's a stake. And also for the lecturers or academics that are involved, either they become consultants in those businesses or they become the co-owners of the businesses. And that brings more value and more interest in such businesses. So I think the biggest challenge is working around collaboration that works, and also strengthening the policies.
And Bapile, what has been your experience with regards to university resources and assisting you with some of the challenges or some of the things that you wanted to do with regards to your business, and what advice would you give us as an institution?
I think to be honest, I never knew about all these resources. I think the only form of indirect resource and assistance that I got from the institution to be able to do the things that I was doing at that time, moving on till today, I was given a chance by Mr. Leby. Not so sure if you guys might be familiar with him. Mr. Leby and Famida. Those two people, I remember I was doing first year, going over to second year. Second year, they gave me a chance of tutoring. With the tutoring, I managed to make a bit of finances, and that's how I funded most of my projects and most of my things that I was doing with that tutoring money. In terms of the institution's resources, honestly, I never knew any about that, and I'm grateful that, Doc, I was listening to what you're saying. I'm grateful that you are looking and going out to find these clinics, to find these initiatives that are there for entrepreneurs, approaching them and saying, guys, how can we collaborate? How can we work together? And I think the students that your current students moving forward, they've got a good foundation to assist them to become strong entrepreneurs. Had I been exposed to such programs internally within the institution, I do believe I would be very far. I do believe that the journey would be a good one. Most of the resources, I got them externally. I would be the one going. I remember I was doing my first year, and there was a program called Our 2 Projects. That Our 2 Projects, it's a 6-month program for entrepreneurs. It's an incubation, basically. For you to enter there, you have to have a business idea, and then you should start trading. So that's where I learned a lot of things. That's where, through that program, which is external of UJ. But I think with the initiatives that I just heard about, they do interest me. It is initiatives that I would like to be part of. or would have loved to be part of even at that time, because I see and understand the value of it. I think even your teaching approach, Doc, I do like it. Because you do plant a seed in the students that yes, we're doing academic work, but let us now start treating ourselves as business leaders, as owners, as CEOs, as people who are at that C-suite level. If you don't have a particular business and a particular title and a role that you are doing in a business, then you are not speaking to me. Of course, I know it's just a rule that you've created, but I think it does do something to students. It forces them to think out of the box and to think and challenge the norms that actually, looking at today's economy, it doesn't cater for one to be focused on one thing. You have to be diverse. You have to have multiple streams of income if you want to survive nowadays. And I think that approach caters for that. That approach shows them that it's possible. And I think more than anything, when you bring in those entrepreneurs who are doing things, who are still students, it shows them that it's possible. It's possible. They share their stories. The students can then be able to identify and say that this is where this person started, where I'm at, and it becomes a bit easy for them to be motivated and inspired and to start as well, because someone already has that blueprint of how things were started. So yeah, I'm happy that the institution has got such initiatives, and I hope they will not die. And I hope that other staff members as well would see the value of such initiatives and take them serious as well. Yeah, so yeah, but keep it up, Doc.
So, Dr. Taba, can you just take us through what some of the structures and programs you believe are quite key for institutions to support entrepreneurs like Bapile? What do you think could work? What kind of structures do you think we need as an institution?
Look, I believe that we already have all the structures. It's just a matter of integrating them. There's a lot. There are a lot of incubations that are happening within different centers, but I find them isolated, like doing it for the department, doing it for the center, rather than maybe finding a way open, like a clear path to say, I have students from class which are entrepreneurs. From here, I want to take them to the technology transfer office. And then from technology transfer office, I'm taking them to a certain incubation. They need assistance with some software and what, I'm taking them to Technopreneurship Center. They want some trainings and their apps to be well developed. I take them to the UJ blockchain. And all these things that I'm mentioning, they are available. It's just a matter of how does university make sure that the path is very clear. I believe that University of Johannesburg have all the resources. We do have all the resources. The technology transfer office is doing very well. It's taking in incubators where people can go back and check how they can assist. They are doing intellectual property and other legalities when it comes to the business. And then they also find a way of aligning it at UJ, or also if you want it to operate within UJ to have stake, they have all the answers. But then you see, you had to go and start knocking, which if it is a student, I'm doing it on behalf of the student, but if Bapile is a student, it might be difficult for him to go to all these faculties. Because what I'm saying, the other thing is that some people are in different faculties. They're not even in our faculty. So you, as a student, they might not know where exactly to go. But it doesn't mean that others are not reaching out, because I know early this year, the business management, they had their own advertisement where they wanted students, and they were doing the students were doing a pitch. And then Technopreneurship Center also, it has several pitches, like where students go pitch and get some funding. We also did it in our department. I think the only difference is in our department, we actually partnered with other faculties. We were definitely funded by the Institute of Pan-African Conversation and Thoughts. because we went to them and then they were interested on BRICS plus countries, and then they had their summer school happening, and then together with their summer school they said they can also do they can do BRICS plus innovation challenge. And I believe resources are there, we are there, we can do this. It's just a matter of clear policies and a clear path in terms of collaboration.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Taba. What advice would you give students that are thinking about entrepreneurship or that should be thinking about entrepreneurship on how to start?
First and foremost, be curious. Look at the resources that are out there to help you establish what you want to establish properly and to assist you with the foundation. But to students, start as soon as you can. I think that's one thing that I can say to them. Start as soon as you can. You've got a business idea, work on it, do research, of course, and start as soon as you can with the little that you've got. A plan will be made as you are going. Because I think a lot of us, we tend to eliminate ourselves because we want to be at a perfect level for us to start things. You want 1 million funding and all of that, yet you can even barely manage 1,000 rands budget. It means that you'll mess up with that million funding if you were to get it. So start as soon as you can, make mistakes, learn as much as possible, invest in your craft, look for potential collaborations, look at the individuals that could add value to your entity, that you could also add value to them as well. But more than anything, make mistakes. I think making mistakes is the one. You learn a lot of things by making mistakes. Get yourself out there. No one will give you business by just you standing in your corner and say, Hashem, this one needs assistance and all of that. No one is going to come and assist you in that regard. But if you take yourself out there, be inquisitive, ask around. Hey, Dr. Taba, I want to start this. What is it that you know? What is it that you can assist me? Where should I go? Type of a thing. And then you'll be exposed to resources that you never even knew existed. So I think more than anything, through this conversation, I just realized that maybe on my side, one of the reasons why I never knew about such programs, it's because I never asked about them. I never knew they existed, never asked about them. And I think maybe that is what put me to a bit of a disadvantage. Type of a thing. But more than anything, to students, start as soon as you can. Don't undermine yourself. Don't look down on yourself. All of us are doubting ourselves, by the way. Everyone is struggling with their own challenges. No one has got it figured out. So don't even doubt what you are doing. Start as soon as you can, and then the rest will be history.
And you, Dr. Taba, what advice would you give students that want to become entrepreneurs?
You know, the student must get away from the mindset of coming to school to pass. You need to use your opportunity as a student to its full capacity. There's no time that you have a free time like when you are a student. After being a student, there are a lot of responsibility. Could be family, could be a job, which will restrain you to fully focus on your academics. And then when you are in your academics, you really need to ask yourself those hard questions. You have to say, is what I'm studying now had to solve real problems? Like we have a lot of problems in Africa and South Africa in particular. And those problems need to be solved. And all the different studies, all the different faculties, they have something that they can bring in to solve those problems. And then you need to ask yourself, me studying a certain course or a certain module, which problem can I solve? The time you leave university, it will be hard because all these opportunities will have been gone. You will no longer have them, but now you have all these opportunities. And then yes, like Bapile say, ask and knock in those doors, try to find out. But then the other thing is that also remember that you might be waiting for that employment and you might be unemployed or underemployed, where we find many of our students who are going for the jobs that they were not even trained for. But if you are doing entrepreneurship and then you have all these assistants in the university, you might end up doing something that you like and you are willing to wake up for.
That is very good advice, Dr. Taba. So looking ahead, Bapile, what do you think some of the future trends within the supply chain and logistics space are that students should start thinking about? Some of the problems that Dr. Taba said students should start thinking about. What are those problems that need to be solved, and how do you foresee this playing out in the future?
I think when it comes to the trends right now, I look at it from a social perspective and then tech and all of that. Nowadays, people want convenience. Nowadays, people want things as soon as possible. If there are two suppliers right now that can supply me, let's say, with this bottle of water, the other one says that it is $10, but I'll get it on Friday. The other one says that I can get it in less than 2 hours for $50. High chances I would go for the expensive one that will give it to me right now. So more than anything, it's understanding the social attitudes, understanding society as well, understanding what speaks to people. As I said, convenience. People want convenience. And then when you understand what people want and you can create a customer-centric related product, then you'll be able to eat nice in business. So some of the trends, it's that we can't wait anymore. But there's also tech right now that is taking over. E-commerce space is blossoming. So I think more than anything, the students can just look at, with the tech that is existing, with the digital technologies that is existing, and some of the societal issues and the problems, and how can we solve those problems, and how can we use the existing tech to solve those problems, and then fuse everything. I always make an example about the business model of Uber. Someone understood the transportation sector. On its own, transport on its own, it's a different sector. And then another person understood the ICT space, the tech space. And then another one understood the customer. Who is our customer? What is it that our customers want? And then trying to fuse all those three, you are able to come up with a brilliant product by fusing all of that. Had there not been an element of customer service or customer understanding within the Uber product, I think they would not have gotten it right. But also, had they not understood technology, they were not going to be able to get it right. Had they understood customer service and technology without transport, they were not going to get it right. So more than anything, I think, look at what is out there, look at the problem you are trying to solve, look at the technologies that are out there and some of the different strategies of solving that particular problem, and what other unrelated resource is there or knowledge that you can look at that can help enhance your product offering or the service that you are offering. But the trends, it's tech and convenience. You run with those two, see what is it that you can get from those, then I think you'll eat nice.
Okay. And Dr. Taba, what are your thoughts around this? What do you think the future supply chain is with regards to entrepreneurship?
Instead, I want to give you an example of one of the student-led business, which is bringing that tech element and is making things very easy for the customers in the automotive industry. So we have a business called Big Five. The Big Five, when we started in class, it was like go and find solutions to problems in the community, but make sure that you put an element of 4IR into it. And then the first thing that they went to find out, they went to their communities and they were looking at the backyard mechanics. And then they said backyard mechanics, they are not playing any role in the informal market of automotive industry, and it is because of the strict rules, the compliance and everything. And then out of that, what can they do? They need to come up with something. And then they will say, okay, we can give them a certain business that will be easier for them to do. Fitting tires if a customer has a tire puncher on the road. So we will have an application where when you have a tire puncher, you might just get into their app and say, I had a tire puncher, puncture, and then it will give you the name of the like the model of the car, and then the size of the tire, and then they will be connected with different people who are selling, like companies that are selling tires, and then they will come with a tire and fit it in. In that way, at the same time, the money will run in real time, because the money will be paid to Big Five, and then Big Five will make sure that a certain amount goes to the tire company, a certain amount go to that mechanics. So this, even though then it evolved, now it's involving the automobile mechanics, it's involving the spare parts and other automobile services that are required in a car. But they are bringing in that convenience. And it started with solving the problem. So it is very right that with all our students and other business that came in, so in 2023 we managed to have this successful one business, but now we are running with 6 of them. And they are all in tech. But the main thing is that the idea is not to repeat what is already in the market, but to check in the industry and say, which convenience can I bring with technology? And that's why it was really important for us to teach them, to get them into some sort of digitalization, or to get them to know something, because now blockchain is even making things more easier for them, and it's differentiating them from the market. When we're talking blockchain, it's more like transparency is clear and traceability. And then that on its own, the industry are looking at them as more of partnering with them, rather than saying that they can come and work for them or any other way.
Oh, that's an excellent example, and I think it ties back to Bapile's answer about convenience and technology. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming to join us. We hope you'll come back with more insights with regards to entrepreneurship. Good luck on your journey, Bapile. I hope you'll connect with Dr. Taba. And yeah, wish you all the very best.
No, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for having us, and it was a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.